Stan, hold on a second. It'll be coming up in a minute.
Okay. And welcome into PressBox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. With me, as usual, on these Monday night excursions into the world of the national pastime is Mr. Ross Grimsley. How are you, Ross?
I'm doing well, Stan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, and we're excited to have with us someone we're going to meet in just a second. His name is Ken Guthrie, and he was the man closest to Jackson Holliday, other than his mother, father, and a couple of siblings. But he was the one closest to him as the Orioles sort of stormed in and surprised an awful lot of people. But first, let me tell you about a place that's never full of surprises. That's the Costas Inn, located 41. You like the way I did that, Ken? How I just
It's a good
zipped in
segue.
there.
Good
They never
segue.
surprise you at the Costas Inn. 4100 North Point Boulevard is the phone number if you want to make reservations to get crabs. A lot of people are back full time at the Costas Inn. They get their crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, steaks, chicken dishes, salads, desserts, libations, and watch the games. There are, though, some that prefer to eat at home, and the Costas Inn curbside is the way to go. Give them a call at either 410-481-1795 or go on their website, CostasInn.com. That's CostasInn.com. You can order your food, pay for your food, and then pick it up, and they pack it immaculately. Somebody that packed it immaculately for the Baltimore Orioles in 2 out of the last 3 years has been Mr. Ken Guthrie, scout for the Baltimore Orioles. Ken, we know you now, the face and the name a little bit through this most recent #1 pick, and we're going to talk extensively about him. But you also were very predominant in drafting Heston Kjerstad a couple of years ago out of Arkansas, weren't you?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me, Stan and Ross. I appreciate it. Yeah, I actually knew the Kjerstad family for a long time. I coached his older brother, Dexter, which ironically had Dylan Bundy and Archie Bradley on the same summer team. So
Wow.
I've known Heston since he was just a little rugrat running around the ballpark.
That's wild. What are you hearing about how he's finally come back from the heart condition caused by COVID and a couple other smaller injuries?
Yeah, so he came out with a bang. He was the Baltimore Orioles minor league player of the month last month, which ultimately led to a promotion to Aberdeen. And, you know, me being the scout that I am, I watch every single at bat through the box score. He couldn't get out in Delmarva, and I think he's found that Aberdeen hasn't gone the same for him. But if you guys ever get a chance to meet Heston, I have little doubt that he's going to progress quickly through all the things that he went through. The kid is a natural born hitter, and even more impressive between the years. It's about as good as it gets.
I had a friend of mine who used to be, his name is Eddie Epstein. Eddie worked for the Orioles back in the 80s and 90s, and he was really the first analytics person that I know of in Major League Baseball, other than Bill James, who was doing it for profit at the time. But Eddie used to tell me something about hitters. He said the hitting tool is one of the most resilient ones. And I wonder if you found that to be the case, and a long layoff like this might delay what he's really capable of, but won't thwart it ultimately.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because we had some conversation, just simple off-season communication about Heston through the process and as he was getting ramped up with Mike Elias and Brad Selick. And I made the comment, I said, look, when this kid gets a bat back in his hands, I don't expect it to be long because he's just born to hit, you know? Yeah. And I think we found that out pretty quick, that it didn't take him long to pick up right where he left off out of Arkansas. So the first month, I mean, I don't know if we would have expected a 450 or 460 average like he had, but it didn't surprise me that it didn't take him long to find his swing. And whatever he's going through at Aberdeen, I'm not even phased on. Most of the time when I watch players, I'm like, oh no, here we go, but with him, I'm just like, okay, sooner or later, we're going to see a 4 for 4. And the next thing you know, he'll be on his run. So,
Ross, you got a couple for
Yeah,
Ken Guthrie?
I've got a ton, but I don't know if we got time to ask all these questions or not. But, this year's draft, you had so many top picks that were discussed
yeah.
in the room, I'm sure with all you guys. And well, I guess there are 4 or 5 of them. And one of the things that I noticed, that I saw, that obviously Rushman was picked last year, number 1, and you had Bobby Witt Jr. you could have taken.
Yeah.
And now, and the way it worked out, so wait a minute, were you guys on Jackson and following him and knew that, hey, we'll get him next year? That's what it looked like. But how was it narrowed down to get the kid, and how did it play out?
So it was interesting. And I said this in our interview when Jackson actually signed in Baltimore, that this time last year, I would have never expected that I'd be in this situation talking about Jackson Holliday as our number 1 pick. Now, that being said, I can't pull up my follow report right now because I'm on the same computer as I do my work on, but he had all of the things that you look for a projection player. I mean, you could just tell there was a lot of baseball ability. There was a lot of tools. It was just a young puppy, and then we go into the spring, and of course I'm like, okay, Oklahoma starts a little early and they play on Mondays. It's kind of an easy get for me to go see them. And I went, uh-oh, this isn't the same guy that I saw in the summer. He grew up, So, in fact, I actually made a phone call to our director, Brad Seelick, and I said, hey, I'm fixing to put in a report that doesn't match up with what I put in the summer. So anyways, and we do things very, I don't know the proper word, uniquely in our scouting department. Luckily, I got to see the other players that you guys heard that were being discussed for our first pick. I mean, I saw Jones and I saw Elijah Green. I saw Tamar. I saw the kid out of Cal Poly, Brooks Lee. So I got in, and we do that. It wasn't just me. We do that with all of our scouts, to where we're not biased when we come into the draft room and say, we need to take this player because it's my player. We try to do what's best for the organization. And it's really been an awesome experience for me to actually branch out and see some of these guys that we're considering, because then I can come in and go, man, I like my guy, but if I'm trying to win a ring, I really would probably suggest this guy.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how it all evolved. And it wasn't just me that I surely would love to take all the credit and act like I found this kid, but we had everybody in our organization. Brad does such a good job in kind of the air traffic control and getting all these scouts in there to get as many of opinions as possible. And I think at the end of the day, it was just one of those packages that everybody was comfortable with. I mean, a power hitting shortstop that can run and can defend, they don't come around very often.
And he's got a bloodline to boot.
I don't know if anybody's ever proven that. I mean, maybe Stan has in one of those books he's got back there, but you got to know that it works. There's a lot of guys with the same.
I tell you see a lot of guys. I remember seeing Ken Guthrie Jr. when he came up, and there's just something different about guys. Like, the ball sounds different off the bat. They carry themselves like big league players, basically, and nothing phases them. And I think they have a head start on the other players because they're around Major League professional baseball, basically, But that was amazing. Is he projected to be a shortstop, or
Absolutely.
you think he'll go to third base, or how?
No, I mean, I think the plan is in the foresight is definitely he's the shortstop of our future. Now, again, the way we do things in minor league development, you may see him play second base some, and you may see him play third base, but that way we can keep all the options open, not only for the player, but the organization. There may be a time in need, like Machado back in the day. He was a shortstop, but the team needed a third baseman. So But at the end of the day, you know, Jackson Holliday was drafted as a shortstop.
Right.
With Mateo playing the way he is at the big league level, and I don't know how much you see of him, and
A lot.
Gunnar Henderson,
Yeah.
is there a chance that Jackson could play the outfield at some time? And how do you think he would play the outfield? Or you don't even want to entertain that thought?
No, I mean, I certainly can do. There's a chance for everything, right? Like
Yep.
the ultimate goal is to win championships. And I think that Jackson impacts the game in many different ways. Not only with the hit tool, but the power projection, along with his ability to run. But again, to say that he would be an outfielder, that would be a question for Mr. Hyde and Mr. Elias. But I think that he went to Sarasota in preparation for him to be the shortstop of the Orioles' future. Now, again, if a lineup needs something different and the timing works up and he's ready, he's got all the ability to play any position on the field. I don't know if he'd do well with the catcher's gear on, but
I don't think he has to worry about that.
Yeah. Hey, I had one more question about Jackson. Ross might ask you another thing about him. I was so impressed when I put that together that he went, because Mike Elias, once we picked him, he met with the media and he said that Jackson Holliday a year before would have been probably late first round. So I'm guessing 22 to 30, somewhere in there.
right.
I was popping pimples when I was 17 years old. I was so impressed because at the end of the day, what we're saying is he, maybe with the help of his dad and his uncle, devised the plan to become the #1 pick in the draft. And he like laser focus, he set out to do it and he did it. And that is just a uniquely impressive thing for a kid that age.
Yeah, so you know, I can't speak for Jackson. I think he might have commented on that was his goal, is to be the #1 pick. But you know, of course, every elite high school player will probably say that's their goal, right? To be the #1 pick. Jackson's very cerebral in a sense that he's light years away of having an innate understanding of just being a better Jackson Holliday, you know. And I don't know if he would have been disappointed that he wasn't the #1 pick, but my point is he prepares himself daily to be the best he can possibly be. And with that being said, that had allowed him the opportunity to be in consideration for that pick. Now, what I will say is physical maturity had a lot to do with where he started or where he left off in the summer compared to where he finished on draft day. Physically, he changed, and that happens with 17, 18-year-old kids. So you mentioned Heston earlier. Heston in high school, I kind of thought, man, I don't really know how much power is going to be there. So I was a little reluctant just to jam him up the board. And then I saw him at Arkansas as a freshman, and I went, how dumb can you be? Because he grew up and he got strong, you know, and it's a hard scouting high school hitters is the most difficult thing that I do, you know, projecting hitters at any amateur level and what they're going to do against major league pitching is extremely tough, let alone high school hitters. But with Jackson, it was just one of those things with not only the work that he did on the field or in the cage, but what he gained physically, just in natural maturity, is what really helped the package really rise to the top as quick as it did.
Ross, go ahead.
Yeah, Ken, he made a comment, or I think I read it, unless I was dreaming, which I very possibly could have been. He plans on being there in 2 years. Is that a possibility?
I mean,
who knows? But
look, so with the Holiday family, anything's a possibility.
Right.
This a special family, and I don't know if we have enough minutes in this interview to explain it, but this kid, I call him this kid. He is a kid.
He is a kid.
Jackson Holliday. Yeah, he is as prepared at this age level as anyone that I've met. Again, when you grow up in a major league clubhouse, you don't generally get the wow factor that a lot of kids at 18 might get. So he's he's not going onto the field right now in kind of a culture shock. He's going on the field with a mission. And
Yeah.
to say that he's going to make it to the big leagues in 2 years, I mean, that's tough for anybody in the draft, even a college player. But would I say it's impossible? No, because his last name Holiday.
Really? Well, let's talk a little bit about the next couple of guys. I know Dylan Beavers, Max Wagner, Fabian. Can you tell us a little bit about each one of those guys?
So I did not get to see Beavers, and I did not get to see Wagner other than on video in the draft room. I did get to see Fabian this year. I got rained out in Atlanta and caught him on the way to see Elijah Green. But I can talk on him. He's a power hitting center fielder, right-handed bat, left-handed thrower, which very few of those. But yeah, he's got a special package. He can run, throw, do all that kind of stuff. But the other two, unfortunately, the way timing worked, I didn't get to see with my eyes. I know Brad and our staff, our analytics staff, and Mike, they do a really good job of digging in on kind of their library and what these guys compare to in the past.
One of the other things I wanted to ask is there hadn't been a lot of pitchers drafted since Elias and company has been there. And if they go by kind of the way Houston, the blueprint is, what they do is they either trade or get free agents pitching wise. And is that the plan, or is that how it works, or how it's working?
So Mike and I have it sat down and had dinner to discuss that. Fortunately for me, one of the higher pitchers that we have taken in Mike's regime has been a pitcher out of my area. But, I think that we as a scouting department prepare for anything. Selfishly, if I like a pitcher, I walk in those doors ready to fight for that guy just as much as anybody. But that being said, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that we generally try to lend towards position players, but we talk about pitchers just as much as the hitters. And I don't know, maybe development, maybe there's something there that our staff believes that an easier way to build a championship club is the way we've drafted.
I wanted to ask you about a player. I have no idea whether you saw or not, but is not Kobe Mayo. It was Colton Cowser. But I do want to know about if you saw Kobe Mayo play. But Colton Cowser, your name wasn't attached the way it was with Heston Kjerstad or our number one Jackson Holliday. But did you see much of him, Cowser?
I did. I got to see him a little bit. I also saw him. He came and worked out for us at prior to that draft, the year he was taken last year. And again, I think what you're seeing with him in the minor leagues is exactly what our staff had expected him to do. A lot of contact for power, and playing a solid defense. So luckily I did get to see. And then Kobe Mayo, it's funny, there's an event every year in the fall in Jupiter, Florida, and it's kind of for like next year's high school draft class. And he was a target on my list that Brad wanted me to see. So I remember going over to see this kid that was going into his senior year, and the tool package was off the chart. Brandon Verley, who handles our Florida area, he did a phenomenal job on that guy. He was fighting for that kid from day one, and to get that type of talent in our organization where we drafted him is nothing short of impressive. So where was
he committed to, Ken? Was it Georgia Tech? Or Florida, I think.
I mean, being a Florida kid, I would assume it'd be somewhere over there, but I have a hard time keeping track of where my players are going to school, let alone kids out of area.
Hey, I did want to ask you, and we'll just keep you another few minutes. I know you got a busy schedule, even though it isn't full-fledged scouting season, but that's what I did want to ask you about. You finish up, and you're there with the signing of Jackson Holliday. Are you back out on the road now watching summer leagues and keeping, you probably keep a notebook of guys you got to follow up on and all that stuff?
Yeah. So as soon as we got done in Baltimore for Jackson signing, I jumped on a plane and flew to Kansas City, and I saw the high school kids in that Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri region, the better ones for next year's draft. And then last week, I spent a week in San Diego prepping for at the area code events. So we've already started working on the draft eligible high school kids for next year. Now, I got a little downtime now, which downtime means put all that information that I saw into a computer.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
much for downtime.
Yeah. And then we'll start working on the colleges, because with the transfer portal, normally in the past, I'd know which freshmen and sophomore are going to be ready to go at Arkansas or Oklahoma, but now I got to figure out who's on the roster. So
I wanted to ask you one more thing about following up with players. We just made a small barrage of trades, traded Trey Mancini and Jorge Lopez. They got back a couple pitchers, and Brad had mentioned in one of the media things that, hey, it's not true that we're not interested in drafting pitchers. Sometimes it just doesn't fall, it just doesn't fall that way that you get that particular pitcher.
right.
When Mike is making trades, does he ever come to you and say, hey, that guy that we almost drafted 2 years ago, Chase McDermott, you remember him, or does he talk that way? It doesn't seem like it's just a coincidence that we got
No.
Povich or Seth Johnson.
Right. So Mike specifically hasn't come to me, but we have a pro scouting department with Mike Snyder who leads that pack, and
Yep.
he's even involved in a more remote way where, as we're talking about these players, he's diligent in taking notes on their makeup. That way, as we start to scout them on the pro side, he can refer back to some of those conversations we had prior to the draft. And then, of course, they will follow up if they also don't want to tip us on who we might be trading for, right? So they're kind of vague on, hey, what do you think? But yeah, they definitely will refer back to us if they need some makeup information on those guys.
But they also have to have they have to have a database of players that we were interested in, so they don't lose track of them.
Correct.
Hey, 4 years ago, we loved this guy.
Exactly.
Ross, you got a couple more for Mr. Guthrie,
I want to ask about a couple of, Gunnar Henderson, Grayson Rodriguez. I know Grayson was hurt. He's making his way back. Henderson these guys are pretty close to coming up here. I know Rodriguez, if he's healthy, he'll get an opportunity, but Henderson, the thing is, it looks like, they're drafting more middle infielders, shortstops, because shortstops can play anywhere. Center fielders can play anywhere, the corners in the outfield. And it looks like they're really developing the old adage, be strong up the middle. Is that a thing that they're trying to do, or is it just the way it's fallen into place?
I would say there's definitely some correlation there. I mean, like you said, if you go strong up the middle, there's a better chance for them to breach out to the corners if needed, and versus, pigeonholing yourself with somebody that has to play on the corner only, really don't have that opportunity to put them in the middle. So I would say anytime you take players up the middle, you bring a versatility to your options.
What do you think about, are we going to see Henderson anytime soon, do you think?
Man,
Or can you let the cat out of the bag?
I would
not
want to be Mike Elias in this situation. I mean, you got a team that's doing a major league team that's doing really well, that's in, fighting for a playoff spot. But at the same time, as he's alluded to, we're moving in a direction and trying to build championships over the long haul. So as far as when any of those guys get to come up, I hope it's soon, but at the same time, I trust our organization. I trust Mike. I trust our player development in making those decisions in the best interest of the player and the organization.
Ken, we really appreciate Ross and I are going to stay on and chat about a couple things, but we really appreciate your time. All right.
Absolutely, Stan. Thanks, Ross.
Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate it, buddy.
Go out and find us another stud for next year.
I'm ready. Go Wolves.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
There he is, Ken Guthrie, scout for the Baltimore Orioles, very instrumental in the signing of both Keston Herstad and Jackson Holliday. Ross, we were going to just hang on and talk a little bit about the position of the O's right now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you were able to watch any of DL Hall's major league debut the other day.
A little bit. I was in and out, but yeah, no, he's got a great arm. He throws really well. 4 pitches, it looks like. But the first time out, you got a little adrenaline going. You're overthrowing, obviously. You kind of scratch your head for a couple things, and they talk about catching Rushman in that game. And first of all, even bringing him up to pitch against a team like Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay is, for me, this year watching them play, they're not the team that they were in the past.
Got a lot of injuries. A lot
of injuries. They got guys. They run the bases awful. Their outfield defense is atrocious. And it's absolutely amazing. But to bring him and pitch him in against a team like that, you kind of scratch your head going, I think I would pitch him against, somebody else.
A softer spot.
Well, yeah. I mean, you would think that, but I mean, that's what they wanted to do. But yeah, he's got a good arm. He has the stuff to pitch in the big leagues. He throws in the upper 90s. He'll hit triple digits occasionally, but
he had a terrific changeup working on Saturday.
Oh yeah, no, he's got the stuff. He just first time out. I mean, you're not really. I can't say you're focused, but you're not focused. You're in the major leagues for the first time.
Yeah.
You're not really. You're just. I'm here. God, I made it to the big leagues. I'm playing against big league players and this, that, and the other. The awe factor comes into play.
Ross, I wrote a column last night, and it's on our website, pressboxonline.com, where I'm staking my reputation on it. To me, I wasn't disappointed in his start. It's exactly what I expected of DL Hall looking at his minor league numbers. I don't see a guy that will ever, and that's a big statement, I don't see a guy that will ever be a 6 or 7 inning major league starter. I see a guy that's like Andrew Miller or Josh Hader, that you can come in as a weapon out of that bullpen at the key moment at any time, whether it's closing a game in the 9th or it's bases loaded and no outs in the 6th, and he can come in and shut you down.
Well, I think that's the plan. They send him back down. They're going to pitch him 1, 2, 3 innings, bring him back with a couple days rest, depending on the.
But I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because the pitchers that came to mind to me, and most of them are left-handed, are Andrew Miller, Arthur Rhodes. Wait a minute, Andrew Miller. I had another left-hander in my mix. It was Andrew Miller, Arthur Rhodes, Josh Hader.
Hader.
Oh
yeah.
Joe Kelly is another guy. He's right-handed.
Right.
Jorge Lopez is another guy.
Yeah.
To me, their entire minor league career says failed starter, and they waste years before they plug them into what their best position is.
Well, what they do, Stan, I think, is they give them the opportunity to pitch. Every 4th or 5th day, some 6 days.
Right.
You give them the opportunity to pitch to see if they have the ability to do that. And some guys, their concentration level for 4, 5, 6 on, they don't have that. After 2 or 3 innings, I've seen it when I played. I saw it as a pitching instructor. As a coordinator, you see guys that they're just not able to keep that concentration level and to make adjustments after the first or second time around the lineup. So that's one of the reasons. So obviously, and I think, and like I said to Ken, is with the starting pitching or with pitching, I think the Orioles are going to go out, and Elias made a comment, I think yesterday or today, I forget when it was, that they're going to spend
some money.
They're going to spend money to, they're going to up the team's salary. So that means a couple of things. I think you're going to either trade, and they're starting to get some guys to trade. It's just a matter of who they want to move, and free agents. And now with the stadium, the field the way it is, where it's more pitcher friendly, there's going to be some people with this team, the way it's progressing, there's going to be some pitchers that want to come here.
Especially left-handed Sanders.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's getting to be a nice place to pitch, you know, if you keep the ball off the lines. So I think that's a really exciting thing and something that. But as far as back to Hall, I think he's a guy they're going to go down and give him that opportunity to pitch out of the pen. And hey, you're going to pitch 1, 2, 3 innings at the most. Throw strikes. Be aggressive. Throw strikes. You know, and that's you saw Lopez do that. I mean, he had the stuff. And he just was not as a starter. As a starter, you know, you can't go out and just blow, you know, and one pitch after the other like you would in the bullpen. You know, you have to pitch and be a little more finessey at times. You know, and some guys can't do that.
In your time pitching in the big leagues, now here in Baltimore, you pretty much had a dynamite rotation surrounding you.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't in Baltimore, but did you have pitchers like an Arthur Rhodes or a Jorge Lopez that you could almost see that the 4 or 5 days in between starts, they didn't know what to do with themselves, and then mentally, all of a sudden they're back out on the mound and they haven't really done anything to calm themselves down. The reason I ask you that is because I don't think that mentality exists when you go to the park as a relief pitcher. And you got to be ready all the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, I was in the bullpen. I think the last year I played basically, and you go to the park and knowing, well, I'm probably going to be in the games that are blowouts. Now, earlier in the season when I was throwing better, you know, you had a chance, and it was kind of, I never went through that. I never did that where, hey, you know, I actually could be in the game today. I better, you know, this, that, and the other. But no, some guys.
Well, you were a successful major league starter.
Yeah,
I'm talking about guys that failed.
No, exactly. There were, well, not with Baltimore because we had a great group of guys, but with some of the other, you know, with even Cincinnati, there were more with like Cleveland. But I mean, a lot of the starters had the ability to go, you know, 6, 7, 8 innings at times with all the teams that I was on. You know, and there were a few guys that started that, I mean, first of all, some of them didn't have the pitches to be starters. You know, you gotta know how to change speeds. You can't stand out there and just pump fastball after fastball slider, unless you can really locate it.
Yeah.
And those guys, it was, you know, you saw it more in the minor leagues. I saw it more as a coach in the minor leagues with pitchers. That they just didn't know how to get through the second, third time around the lineup. And they just, you know, basically they get in trouble. They just try to throw the ball harder and harder and harder. And you can't do that. You got to go the other way. You got to throw it slower.
It's a lot easier only having to face a hitter one time.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, and you can do what they want you to do now. It's go out and throw the fastball as hard as you can throw it and throw the breaking ball and spin it as hard as you can. And that's what they want. So I think with Hall, I think that's what the plan is. And they obviously see that he's not able, but very possible. And I haven't followed him, but usually you can tell, you know, that he pitches 2, 3 good innings. And in the 4th inning, he hits the wall.
He had 17 starts this year in Norfolk for 77 innings.
Yeah.
Like 3.8 innings per start.
Yeah. You know? And I'm sure that they, you know, they
hold him. It's a pitch count. It's a pitch count.
You know, he's going to have 100 innings by the 4th or 5th inning because he throws a lot of pitches.
Right.
You know, and then I've seen that before too. The guy gets the 5th inning, he's got 100 pitches. You're out of the game. Yeah. You know, that's always been the case. You know, for pitchers.
So I did not write what I wrote as a disappointment on Hader.
No,
it was something that I had seen in his numbers. He never ramped up his innings. It's like when the Orioles acquired Dylan Tate from the Yankees in the Zach Britton trade. They were in the process. The Yankees had been in the process of trying to get him to be a starting pitcher. And I looked at his innings. He'd never thrown more than like 75 or 80 innings in 4 or 5 years. That's not how you build a starting pitcher.
Yeah, no, right. But like you said, if he has 100 pitches in the 4th or 5th inning, he's gone. You're not going to do it. But I mean, and now now with starters, you only have to go 4 or 5 innings. If you
That's
go
right.
any more than that, it's a bonus. So
Yeah.
I think the big thing now with teams, and Orioles especially, you got to make sure that you have major league ready pitchers at the AAA level that can come up, and at least spell your pitchers that are tired or have tired arms or they're injured. You got to have guys, and I think the Orioles are in the position where they're stockpiling some guys. They're going to have some, and they'll go out and get some pitchers that can do some things for them until the top guys get back. The bullpen's been tremendous. It's even good now that they traded Lopez away. Still good.
Tell me how, and then we'll let you go. Tell me how that conversation works with a player like DL Hall, who has been groomed to be a starting pitcher, and the light bulb goes off on this regime, says, we got a weapon here. We have to get him to buy into it, though. I mean, is he disappointed when they say to him,
I wouldn't think so, because all you got to say, Stan, is your quickest way to the big leagues is doing A, B, or C.
Yeah.
Well, A didn't work, so now it's B. Your quickest way back here is by doing this. Okay. So, I mean, you got to go. What the heck? And I want to say, in pitching out of the bullpen, if you don't have to change a whole lot. You're going out there, you have to be aggressive. You have to throw strikes. You got to do that the same, no matter if you're starting or relieving.
Yeah.
But the thing is now you got to learn how to warm up. You got to learn if they're going to put you in a game, and that's going to come from the coaches and maybe some veteran bullpen guys.
How to get that adrenaline? How to get that adrenaline going?
You got 8 pitches when you get out there, so you don't have to. You get close.
Yep.
And you got to watch the way the game is. Who's hitting? The big thing now is the guys have to watch the game. Now, the bullpen guys can do that a little bit more because they're not on their iPads, I wouldn't think, but they could be. I don't know. I haven't seen them in the bullpen. I know the guys on the benches aren't watching the game because they're on the iPads watching what they swung at.
Well, you make a great point there about it's your quickest way. And the one thing I would stress to them too is, if you think at all that this is a demotion, just check what Andrew Miller made in his career, what Arthur Rhodes made in his career. The bullpen is a great way to last longer, perhaps, if you get the right manager.
Well, in this day and age, especially.
Yeah, and you make a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, no, and that's the like I said, the bullpen is the thing now. I mean, you're gonna, he could be an opener, but who knows if that's. I don't think that's the case. But I think you just explained to them, hey, I think this is the best thing to help this organization, help the ball team, and get you back to the big leagues quicker. You just have to do A and B, and you're there.
So do you even think that they pitched him the other day as a starter to be able to, knowing kind of how he would pitch, because he pitched just like he pitched in the minor leagues, and say that they'd be able to say that to him?
Well, I hope that's not the case, because that was
pretty
a big
cynical.
That was a big game.
Yes.
That was a big game for both teams. And, if it ends up with a tie, then Tampa Bay goes. So I'm going, why would you put a kid in this situation, to do that? I don't understand it. But I mean, that's, but they obviously had a reason, and everything is, it's not now, it's over here. It's over here. It's the future, so if
You and I will talk in the next day or two about who we will shoot for next Monday. All right.
Right. It was great having Ken. I thought that was fantastic to get his insight on those guys and stuff, which was really special. Gives us an idea of what the Orioles. I mean, they're putting together a really good group of guys, I think.
No question about it. Hey, we want to just thank again Ken Guthrie and the PR department at the Baltimore Orioles for helping us arrange that interview with scout Ken Guthrie. Ross and I will be back next Monday. I'll be on at 6:00 tomorrow night with Steve Brunner of KOM Sports. We've twice missed each other. time difference and miscommunication. Steve is running the Maryland Cycling Classic coming up September 1st through the 4th. And then Thursday, we will have on Mike Loxley will join us on Thursday. And I think that's at 7 o'clock. I'll remind everybody tomorrow, the head coach of the University of Maryland. Want to thank the Costas Inn again, 4100 North Point Boulevard, that phone number 410-477-1975. I think I gave the wrong number out. I think I gave 19, I think I said 1775. It's 410-477-1975. Go to costasin.com, check out the menu, order online, pay online, and then just drive up and pick up the food that you ordered. You don't even have to get out of the car. All right. That's Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. For Ken Guthrie, Ross Grimsley, I'm Stan the Fan. Kyle Bradish takes the hill at 7:07 against Yusei Kikuchi of the Toronto Blue Jays in another big game for the Orioles tonight. Thanks, Ross.
You got it, buddy.